been working predominantly with women who, alongside a day job or alongside looking after a family, want to create either an additional income or a replacement income. And I've been coaching them how to weave that into their very busy schedule and create a business from home. And what I've found is most times, myself included, it's not that we're work shy, you know, we're willing to work hard. The challenge comes from the overwhelm of trying to fit it into a schedule that's already busy. And if you have children or parents who are aging and just lots of stuff going on, sometimes it can be a real challenge. So I'm going to share 3 things with you. It really is, when I get this to work, the emphasis is going to be on values, and we'll talk a little bit about focus and habits before we wrap up. Now, if you're anything like me, when you hear values, the first thought is about lofty ideas. You know, I want to have great relationships and I want to have laughter and great things to aspire to. But how do you anchor those into what you do on a day-to-day basis? That's where the challenge comes from. There are 2 things that I want to kind of tease you to think about quickly to help cement what values really mean. And the first thing is, let's imagine, please God we have more, but let's imagine we're all given 70 years, 70 years. The first couple of decades you spend studying, the last decade you want to use to enjoy the fruit of your labor. So you really have 4 decades in the middle to live life, make a difference before you hang up the boxing gloves. Some of the things I'm going to share with you, I said earlier that I've learned through scars. I do not like structure. I do not like planning. I do not like scheduling. For me, that's like putting me in a straitjacket and telling me I can't move. I've had to learn these, but I've learned that real freedom comes from discipline. If you do the things that you're supposed to do when you're supposed to do them, you'll be able to do the things you want to do when you want to do them. That's Zig Ziglar, I didn't say. I used to kid myself that I'm fun-loving, life must be spontaneous. And as the quote says, spontaneous once in a while is great, as a lifestyle you're a nutter. So I've had to learn a few disciplines. There are the 3 key things we're talking about is values, focus, and habits. So let me share what that means. A point to make here is quite often you say, oh, I don't have enough time, I don't have enough time, because we tend to start with a to-do list. Most of the times good is good, but when it comes on to scheduling, good is not good enough, because good is the enemy of best. On your to-do list, you have lots of good things to do, but what we're going to learn to do today is to focus on the things that really add value to your life and help you to live in the direction that you want it to go. This is influenced, of course, by Stephen Covey, if you've done the 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. And I have to say, when I read that for the first time, I got it intellectually, but I didn't know how to translate that into what I was doing on a day-to-day basis. For me, my faith is important. I love reading Proverbs. And there's a verse, even if you don't believe in God or you don't read the Bible, Proverbs is a great book to read, because Solomon is still the wisest man that ever lives, and he has some good things to say. And that verse that says, 3, 5, and 6, Proverbs 3, 5, and 6, trust in the Lord, don't depend on your own intellect. Acknowledge him in everything you're doing and he'll direct your path. I tell you, what I'm about to share, for me, was literally a light bulb moment of inspiration that just suddenly I saw it and it made sense. And that's about creating a schedule based on your values, based on the things that are important to you. So whereas we usually take the to-do list and try to shove that into time slots, where I start is, what are the things that are really important to me? And give those priority space in the diary. Has anybody ever seen that poem or read it online, Pebbles and Rocks? Okay, we don't have time to go into it, but look it up online, Rocks, Pebbles, Sand and Water, and it's a story about putting in the important things, put my teeth back in, putting in the important things first, the big rocks, then the pebbles fall in between the rocks, then the sand can fill in that and the water. But start with the big rocks, because if you start with water first, the things that really don't mean very much, washing dishes and stuff like that, you won't have space in your life for the big rocks. Giving everything into God's hands, then I don't have to worry about the day. It also allows me to get ahead of the day when everybody's asleep. I can clear emails. I can lead on when I want to book appointments before I get led by other people and their urgencies. Gym time. I saw a very painful quote that says, when you get to 50, you'll have the body you deserve. I went, ouch. So you have to have time in there to pay attention to the physical needs of the body. Of course, we can't have a passion for marriages and not do anything about strengthening our own. So that's what the heart in there is. It's scheduling time to the things that are important. For us, it took a long time to have children. 7 years, doctors gave up on us. Long story for another time. But when I had my first son, when I had 2 boys, they were my value and my priority, being there for them and wanting to be mommy at home. The second thing that happens is it allows your decision making to be easier. If somebody wants to have a meeting with me, work time, yes you can, 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 no you can't. And it's very straightforward, and you don't have to be constantly thinking when. There were a couple of other things I wanted to say there, and I don't remember them, so they'll come back to me. Oh, you know which balls to drop. So you know, when you're really busy, you inevitably drop balls. But when you have a general template of what a great week looks like, if you drop balls, you can compensate because you know what you've dropped, and you can choose strategically which ones to drop. If you don't have this, you can end up dropping the ones that don't scream loudly for your diary, but the ones that cost you more in the long run. And the third thing is it reduces stress. As women, stress and anxiety, heart attacks, the silent killer for women. And part of that is by having so much to do and not having the time, not knowing when. This gives you peace of mind, because that big presentation or that big project that I need to work on has its place. So every time my mind feels like going, oh, I don't have time, it's like, chill. It's scheduled, it's booked. You're living ahead of the curve instead of constantly having waves of overwhelm. Habits is the last thing I want to talk about, and I have to tell you, I did not get here overnight. It was a lot of resistance. I convinced myself, for example, that I was a night person, that I worked well at night, and I can still go through the night if I have to. I think it comes from studying. But I had to learn that the freshest, best creative time that I could have is first thing in the morning, before kids wake up, before emails and phone calls and things start to invade your mental space. That's the most creative time. Have a filing system that works, so you don't waste time looking for the same thing 10 times. And I'm only saying that because I've done it. And then it will take a few goes. You won't get it right first time, but don't chuck it just because it didn't work first time. So you do a meal plan and you didn't cook anything that you planned. Try it again. Do the online shop for the first time. Do the diary plan for the first time. Just plan, do, review. And I promise you, if you stick at it, it will soon become natural. So I'm going to end by saying what's happened up to today has happened. But from now, you can decide on the life that is crying out on the inside to be experienced, and then plan it and live it. And I have to be brought up in Jamaica. I have to end with the inimitable words of Bob Marley: live the life you love and love the life you live. Thank you.